Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
4:15 on a Wednesday. Zach Gelb Show from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios. 609-919-9200 is the number that gets you on board. I'm all football up. Man, that national championship game on Monday was so special. I'm still recovering from witnessing that great game, and then I can't wait for the divisional round this weekend. Someone that I know is a football enthusiast, clearly, was a two-time Super Bowl champion, quarterback of the New York Football Giants, and now watches more football than anybody as the lead color analyst for the NFL on CBS is Phil Simms, and Phil is kind enough to hop on board with us for a few minutes right now. Phil, Zach Gelb, appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on, and how are you?
Well, Zach, I'm doing well, and I don't know if I watch more football than anybody, but I know I'm definitely in the 1 percentile, as they would say in politician terms.
Oh, we have Curt Schilling coming on later today, so I'm sure we'll get enough political talk.
Well, you know, I'm a big Curt Schilling fan, love his baseball talk, always loved him on TV, and, of course, there's nothing to say about his pitching. That was Hall of Fame stuff, no question.
I agree with you, and there's been some talk of if Curt Schilling is a Hall of Famer, and I look at his postseason, and I think he should be in. Real quickly, though, because we always hear your takes on the NFL, did you get a chance to watch that college national championship game, and what you think?
Well, people always ask me questions like that, and I say, was it on TV? And, of course, yes, I caught it. I made my day work around everything to make sure. Well, I still worked a little as I was watching, but, of course, I watched it. Try to watch as much college football as I get a chance to. It was very enjoyable. Everybody lived up. Deshaun Watson got it going, became the MVP, all that stuff you want to see. But the game, to me, Alabama's defense really was everything it was cracked up to be. It really was. Even though they got run over late, the whole key to the game, Alabama could not throw it at all. They couldn't even complete a screen. So when you can't throw the ball at all, 99 plays by Clemson. There are many teams in the NFL, they'll be on their third game before they run their 99th play. College football, the clock it's always stopped. It goes forever. And if I had one complaint about the game, man, I mean, each team had like 15 to 20 possessions. So that kind of drives me a little crazy. But I saw it. It was great, fun to watch, and good for college football.
Yeah, big key in that game was the running back for Alabama, Bo, going out of the game. Just totally killed their offense, and you saw it with the next three possessions of punt, punt, punt. But the final 7 minutes of that game were so special, the back and forth, and you saw Clemson score, and then the freshman quarterback, Hurts, responded, and then the next thing you know, with a little over 2 minutes to go, Watson goes on a drive for the ages. What type of quarterback do you think Watson will be in the professional ranks?
Well, there's no doubt he's going to be a first-round draft pick in my mind. I mean, that's not saying anything. Will he be the first pick of the draft? I don't know about that. I think he's got a big upside for the professional football game. The thing about him I do like, he's a quarterback first, runner second. And, they teach him pretty well at Clemson. He can find the first, second, and even maybe go to the third, and he runs when you force him to run. So that's a great positive. Is he an elite thrower of the football? No, he is not. Could he be? There is a possibility. The arm talent's there, needs to be refined a little bit, needs to tighten his motion up somewhat. It can get a little flippy and long. And when that happens, I always say this. Do you see anybody in the pros with that kind of motion? Now, his motion is not that bad, I'm saying it. But there's a reason why we talk about all the top quarterbacks. They have one thing in common. They have compact, efficient, effortless motions, and that's what it takes to practice endlessly, and that's what it takes to have dead-eye accuracy in the NFL.
What makes the Clemson story so fun, and put aside the redemption that they showed coming back and getting that revenge from a year ago where they very well could have knocked off Alabama. You look at the final play, Renfro gets the touchdown. He was a walk-on when he originally got to Clemson. Dabo Swinney, the game-winning head coach, he was a walk-on at Alabama and then made his way up the ranks and eventually became the head coach of a national championship team. You've had people before, Phil, tell you, hey, Phil Simms, you're doubted. You can't do something. You won't be an NFL quarterback. When you finally have that success and you cash in. What's that feeling like, Phil?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. You don't sit there and go, well, I showed them. You enjoy the moment. And that's really what it's all about. To me, I can only speak for football because that's all played professionally, but it truly is all about the battle. In other words, the work, the misery, the heartbreak, everything that you go through in football, and then to finally do it, well, just imagine what it's like. It is a dream because even though you say, hey, I think we can win the Super Bowl, deep down, you don't know if it's ever going to happen, or a national championship in college football. So that's what it's about. The chase, the work, and just trying to get to that one spot. It's hard to describe. So when you finally get it, it's all joy. It's definitely not, well, we showed you, people doubted me, all those stories. That didn't cross my mind, doesn't cross most other people's minds either.
Phil Simms with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. Let's talk some Eagles and also some Giants. Let's start with the Birds. You take a look back at year number 1 of Carson Wentz. You got to see him a few times playing as quarterback for the Eagles. What stood out to you, and what do you think he needs to improve coming up on year number 2?
Well, I think if you're the Philadelphia Eagles or you're a fan, whatever you are, you got to sit there and go, okay, this was a successful year for the Eagles. Forget the record. They established a quarterback. The head coach got his feet wet. The defense showed at times, showed glimpses of somebody or a defense that could be really, really good. And so that's all the positives. Just what I said, about the Clemson quarterback, I would say the same thing about Carson Wentz, is that his motion, it's big at times. And, the bigger the motion, the more times something can go wrong. So that's what I see with him. He loses the ball. Do you ever see him lose it low? No. It's almost all 100. I'd say 98% of his bad throws, they take off and they're high. And so that's just something he needs to work on. What I have found out in my history, and I watch them all, is once they get in the NFL, they kind of figure a few things out. Because if you're a good athlete, you can imitate. And he'll look at the other quarterbacks. Oh, okay, let me look at Tom Brady. How come he doesn't lose control of the football? Oh, that's interesting what he does, how he holds. And I've seen Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Tony Romo, Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Ryan. I'm trying to just keep going. I've watched them all through the years change their throwing motion and make it more efficient, better, and more accurate. That's what the NFL is about. It's not about throwing it through the open door. It's about throwing it through the keyhole. And that's what you got to be able to do to have big-time success.
You could relate to Carson Wentz because you went to Morehead State, and you take a look at Carson Wentz, he went to North Dakota State. Is it more fun to watch a player like that coming from the FCS level?
Well, I don't know. Joe Flacco did it too. Let's be honest. Carson Wentz didn't. That was the Division I school he went to. I mean, they play football like Division I, and they played a lot of good schools. It's extremely competitive. I mean, the only thing that they really lack when you watch them is maybe some of the skill positions. I mean, when I watched a lot of their tape, I do every year. There's always somebody, trying to think who else. Jimmy Garoppolo, when he came out of Eastern Illinois, and you see a lot of really good football players. Not as many as you would see at Alabama, things like that, but like wide receivers, that and the size of defensive linemen. They're smaller, of course, and Division I AA is what I call it. That's what it was when I was there. So that's really the difference. Is not as great as everybody thinks, and the adjustment for a quarterback coming from that type of environment. I laugh about it. Yeah, okay, it takes a week, then you get used to it. Because if you're good, as Neil Lomax said, Zach, if you can throw the fastball in the minors, you can throw the fastball in the majors.
I like that. So now you take a look at the Eagles, it's all about surrounding Carson Wentz with some talent because you have the real deal at quarterback, right. But you take a look at those wide receivers, they stink. The run game doesn't have a real consistent run game. It's all on Howie Roseman now. I don't know if you know Howie at all. Where's your confidence in Howie to get this thing going in the right direction?
Well, no, I don't know him. They need speed. And I just think Oh, man, I know where two great speed guys are in the NFL. Oh, that's right. LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson. I mean, man, that might be – I don't even know what they traded or what they did or whatever they did, but it was the wrong move. You do not get rid of impact players. You learn to deal with it. The old thing, the bigger the talent, the more problems you put up with, whatever that is. And if there was problems, man, I'm just telling you, I would have overlooked them because you cannot find players like that easily. And how about LaShawn McCoy? Always on his last legs and everything. He was arguably one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the NFL this year. Just dynamic. So when I look at the Eagles, man, it's play a certain style of football. But the NFL, you got to have big plays. And big plays on both sides of the ball usually come from one thing, speed. So that's what I see when I look at the Eagles. You're right. They definitely need a speed wide receiver. Really, they probably need 2. And, you got to have those specialty players. They got Darren Sproles. You always need a great slot receiver, much harder to find than people think because it takes a special skill set, and you got to have a great mind to be a slot receiver in the NFL. So they got some work to do on the offensive side.
Phil Simms with us right now. Let's get to the Giants. I didn't have a problem with Odell Beckham going on a yacht. It was an off day. I understand it's not the best look, but still, it had no effect on that game. The problem that I did have with Odell, and I happen to like Odell Beckham, were the actions after the game. And I'm fine if you show some emotion, but putting a hole in the wall, I know he's not the first and he won't be the last to do it. Just to do it in the open like that, I didn't think was a good look. Does he need to tone it down a bit, Phil?
Well, I think that question's already been answered by Jerry Reese yesterday in his press conference. And, I'm not sure his actions during the week did not affect him during the game. We'll never know. He's never going to admit to it. I'm just guessing. But, it's not the fact that he went down the yacht. Then you take pictures of it. So you want people to know you've done it. Okay, so that's one. The second is, let's double down. Let's walk out on Lambeau Field without our shirts off. And, again, make a spectacle, show the world. And, you drop the first pass. Does that get in your head? Let me tell you something. It's a fact that I don't care how strong-willed and minded you are. There's always a time for an athlete, and all athletes, where certain things get into your head, and it's hard to clear them out. So I don't know. I thought he was emotional. Every time they showed him on the sideline, even though he wasn't demonstrative, I just saw – an anxiousness a little bit. And, when you put yourself out there like that, you better have a clear mind and just have undying confidence that you're going to succeed no matter what. And it was a shame. Tough way for the Giants to end their season, that's for sure.
You played with Lawrence Taylor. Did you ever think about what it would be like if you played during the Twitter era now, Phil?
Well, the Twitter area now, I think, changes who you are as an athlete and as a person. It does, just because of what's said. But when you go out at night, I mean, Lawrence Taylor, myself, whoever you want to be, me, I could have gone out on a Friday night and been in a club in New York at 3 a.m., and nobody in the world would ever have known it except me. The coaches would have never found out. Nobody would have told on you. Nobody would have called a writer. Nobody would have taken your picture. On and on and on. But now, even in my line of work, the Twitter world, taking pictures of me wherever I go, which people do, which is, fine. I think, wow, it's great. If you want a picture of me, good for you. You can have it. But it changes you, so you have to be respectful of the information that's out there, and you got to live your life accordingly. And I would say for most people, Zach, it makes me live a better life. I don't lose my cool, or I treat people nice. I don't think I do it because of what could go on social media, but it trains you and it changes you. So, hey, I'm glad I didn't have it in my era. If we did, Lawrence Taylor definitely wouldn't have acted the way he did because it would have all been out there and he would have gotten who knows what trouble, but whatever. So it's a different era. They've grown up in it. They know what's coming when they do these things.
It's amazing, though, because I get it on a much lower scale than obviously you or Odell Beckham. But when you do this type of job and you're in the spotlight and you're on the air, it's like you stumble over a word now, and Phil Simms, it's on a site tomorrow, and everyone's blasting you. So, like with Odell, he lets that stuff get under his skin, and you don't let it get under your skin. So, like, how do you not let it affect you? Because I could see how it could affect someone, especially younger, like an Odell Beckham Jr.
Hey, look, I'm not going to say it doesn't affect me, but at this stage of my life, it definitely does not. And a guy I work with, sometimes, the following day after we do a Sunday game, he goes, let me go on Twitter and see what they're saying about you. And he'll go on, he'll start reading things, and we sit there and we laugh. I go, gosh, that is unbelievable. And it's just, they destroy you. And that's it. So you can't worry about it, and you just got to learn to go with it. People write things and say things about you, and it's hey, that's just the world we live in, and you got to overlook it. And it's like, and also, even for an athlete nowadays, if you think there's something negative in the papers, you don't want to hear it, then don't read it. Just march on. Don't think about it, because in the grand scheme of things, like, what's it mean? It means nothing.
You're right. Phil Simms with us on the way out on the Zach Gelb Show. Let's get to some of these games this weekend. In the AFC, you'll be doing the Pats and Texans game on CBS, and also in the AFC, you have the Steelers and Chiefs. What stands out to you about those two matchups?
Well, which one you want to hear first?
Let's do the game you're doing.
Well, what stands out, we know everything about New England. The world knows about New England. They're always on national TV. They're written about a lot. They got a huge press corps that follows them. So there's no surprise. They're really good. I think it comes down to this in the game. You're going to hear kind of probably a lot what I'll do right on the air. The Texans defense is going to have a great day. It's the strength of their football team. They're going to have to cover. They have good cover guys, good pass rushers, and they're going to have to play the games of their lives. And their offense, they got to be able to create a few plays. They really struggled. It was early in the year, but can they win matchups? And their defense can have a great day, and they can still lose. Can their offense score or whatever, but can they just get out there and at least kind of help control the game? That's a big deal, because in their meeting, gosh, I don't even know what week it was. I'm going to say week 3, 4. It was early in the year. Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback for the Patriots.
Yeah, it was week 3.
They didn't do anything to help their defense. And it's almost like the national championship game. If you have to keep putting your defense out there after 3 plays on offense over and over, then you're going to lose. Your defense is going to wear down, and sooner or later the offense is going to get its rhythm and catch fire. And so those are just a couple things, but those couple things are really big. Can they give Brock Osweiler some opportunities to make plays? That's probably the biggest thing I have to say about the biggest point for Houston to have a chance to win this game. Defense, it's got to be great. They have a chance. They got some really tremendous players, but can their offense do their part to make that defense, their own defense, even better?
And then you have the Steelers and Chiefs. I think that's going to be the best game of the weekend.
Could be a shootout. That's kind of what I expect. I expect both teams to really move the ball well. A lot going on there. Payback is a great word in the NFL. NFL players and coaches don't forget it. And let's see. Oh, that's right. The Chiefs went to play the Steelers many weeks ago and got destroyed on national TV. I mean, they got destroyed, almost embarrassed. So that's going to be huge, the information they got from that game. And never underestimate the week off, what it does to the players mentally and physically. And it is a big deal. And just look at the Steelers last week. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger did nothing the week before. They didn't play in Week 17. They rested all week. Roethlisberger's arm was fresh. And the other two, they looked like they had rockets strapped to their backs as they were running. Because that week off, those legs, arm, everything regenerates just enough to make you a better player. So Kansas City's going to be really, really tough to beat, I think, in that atmosphere, the week off, and what they do on both sides of the ball.
Phil, before we let you run, let's just look at the NFC. You got Aaron Rodgers up against the two rookies for the Cowboys, and also Seattle against Atlanta. Just some good quarterbacks playing in all these games coming up this weekend. The NFC, what do you like when you look at the games this weekend?
I like both home teams. I think Aaron Rodgers is still physically the most gifted player in the NFL. But I like the Dallas Cowboys. The offensive line is real. Can Green Bay hang in there long enough and just stop that run? Dallas' defense has played better late in the year, I thought, than it did early in the year. So I just look for the Cowboys to wear the Packers down and beat them because of, this Packer team's been on a 7-week playoff stretch. And, man, yeah, you got rhythm, you got confidence, but sooner or later the physical part catches up to you. And in the other game, I like the Atlanta Falcons. They played Seattle, so they got a taste of their talent. They know how they play. And at home, and the thing about Atlanta, it is about their offense. They can run it basically against anybody, and they are very diverse in the pass game. So Matt Ryan, I think he's the MVP of the NFL. That'll be hard to stop. And the other thing that goes in Atlanta's favor, their defense is not great, but they do have good speed. And that speed is good enough on the edges and linebacker where if Russell Wilson breaks the pocket, they can definitely run him down. They're faster than Russell Wilson is. That's why I like all the home teams this week. It's those three home teams, not my game, just for a lot of those reasons. Being fresh, playing at home, and in some cases it's payback. And it's payback for the Atlanta Falcons also. They lost early in the year to the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, the game they should have won with the no pass interference call. Phil Simms, though, appreciate you coming on. Say hello to Jim for me and have a great call this weekend. We appreciate it, my friend.
Zach, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on and good talking to you.